Hello friends, Tal here, and welcome to another Legion Beta build video. Now, some of you guys may have noticed I haven't updated anything or posted anything to my YouTube channel in a couple of days. I'm going through a lot of personal stuff right now. I've been very, very busy trying to deal with just like the very end processes of dealing with my car that had been towed, that I'm getting like the gap insurance for. I'm dealing with all that right now. Just a couple of personal things that I'm going through. It has really been bogging me down my creative process for making videos for a little bit of time. So I do apologize about that. I want to thank all of you for all the crazy amount of support you guys gave me on that top tank specs video. It's probably one of my biggest videos so far. I think the only one that has been bigger than it faster is the Protection Paladin because I was like the first person to put out the artifact for it. So I'm really, really happy about the way that video has had the response, how people have enjoyed it, all that kind of stuff. I'm really excited about that. I want to thank you guys so much for all the support, all the love, all that kind of stuff. But anyways, there was a beta build recently. I think it was about 2 days ago. I'm just gonna go over it really quick. Not too much crazy has changed. The only real thing of note is something with Demon Hunters. That's why I've skipped down past all the other stuff. Nothing crazy for Blood, for Druid, for Monks, nothing like that. The only real change is a change here for Protection. I think maybe a Warrior change, and then I'll talk about the Demon Hunter one that happened. But that one's more in depth, so I wanted to start with the other ones first. So, anyways, biggest change right now, as far as it comes to the Paladin, Consecrated Hammer. Let's see. The talent that makes Consecrated Hammer not have a cooldown, basically it's, jeez, I can't even think. Is it the name of Consecrated Hammer? Okay, yeah, I think that's the name of the actual talent. But anyways, before what it would do is it would make Hammer of the Righteous have no cooldown, and then it would also give it the effect of being in consecration all the time. Now it's going to give Hammer of the Righteous, Shield of the Righteous, Light of the Protector always the benefit of consecration without having to stand in consecration. What does this mean? Essentially, when you take this talent, you don't have to cast consecration anymore. I would almost even argue you probably phase it out of your rotation. It does make it easier. It makes the rotation simpler. The consecration at that point just becomes a DPS skill, and even then, not that big because you always have Hammer of the Righteous just doing the AoE damage as well. I think this goes very well with their philosophy when it comes to talents about making choices. That passive choices are not the best, but they're easy. You don't have to worry about them. So it's just the biggest change there. The other good thing is that in movement-heavy fights, not having the benefit of your consecration, especially if it's not following you around, because I still have not seen that glyph appear anywhere else. If you don't have consecration following you, you don't have the benefit of Shield of Righteous, you don't have the benefit to Light of the Protector always, you would be basically using a lesser version than you are. You're balanced around using the bonus of consecration on hand Shield of Righteous, so more damage reduction on your heal. And if you can't be in consecration because of movement, you would be basically playing a gimped paladin. So overall, this change is a bit of a buff, especially on movement heavy fights, but also it goes with that whole theme of simplifying things. Passive talents make everything easier. They're not the really skill based ones, but in specifically heavy movement, I can easily see this being something that you're going to want to go ahead and pick up. Beyond that, though, I mean, nothing else has really changed. I don't know why, but Wahoo having a couple of issues today for some reason. Let me just refresh this. Don't look at the screen if you don't want spoilers for like 2 seconds. Don't look at the screen if you don't want spoilers. Don't look at the screen if you don't want spoilers. Okay, boom, there, we're good to go. Um, there was a quest added to the Legion beta, a very lore-heavy quest. And just for the sake of people that don't want spoilers, I'm trying to skip past it really, really quick so you guys don't see it. But it's a big deal. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it at that. It involves Illidan. Ooh, tease you. Um, then let's see if Warriors got anything too crazy changed. Only real thing is just that your artifact trait Dragon Scales is no longer going to generate you some rage. It's still going to increase the damage reduction of Ignore Pain, and then Mass Spell Reflect will also not generate you any rage. So they're cutting back a little bit on the rage generation from the artifact traits, which I already said it, rage regen is kind of an issue for protection warriors, so whereas before you could at least look forward to getting some rage generation by using something like Dragon Scales, now that's just gone. So it's kind of another, like, negative thing, in my personal opinion. Again, in AoE, protection warriors, they're fine. They're perfectly fine. It's the single target rage gen that has me worried, and the fact that they're going in and even changing things in the artifact traits. Maybe with this it was just too powerful because, come on, you have shield block that gives you so much fucking rage immediately. But balance is balance. Things have to change. I still think warriors are great, but it is annoying. I think that's the best word for it. When I look at this, I get a little annoyed that they're taking more rage generation sources out of Warrior because, as you all know, if you've played Diablo 3, it feels good when you're flooded with rage because then you get to do things and you get to have fun. Crazy idea, right? Having fun in MMO. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Demon Hunter change now. It's not a big change, but it's important for a big reason. So, Demon Hunters. Soul Cleave was the damage that Soul Cleave does was increased a little bit, which is nice. Then you have the artifact trait. Soul Cleave heals for an additional larger percentage of your health, which is also nice. But then Quickened Sigils, a talent. All sigils activate 1 second faster, and their cooldowns are reduced by 20 seconds. Their range is no longer increased by 10 yards. So their cooldowns are reduced by 20%. So we're going to go ahead and go into first the artifact weapon calculator. We're going to look for anything that has to do with sigils. Demon Spikes, Metamorphosis, Infernal Strike, Soul Cleave, Shear, Fragment, Souls, Health, Damage, Heal, Fiery, Parry, Metamorphosis. Okay, so nothing in there. And then we're going to take a look at talents. How many talents affect sigils? So none of these talents really affect sigils. This causes Sigil of Flame, Demon Spikes, Leech, Fracture, Concentrated Sigils. All sigils target your location. Their duration effects is increased. Nothing too crazy. Sigils activate 1 second faster. Cooldowns are reduced by 20%. Okay, so as far as sigils go, the reason I'm kind of looking at everything real quick is this. Vengeance Demon Hunters and Blood DKs are the only two classes with Mass Grip. Blood DKs have it at a 3-minute cooldown, baseline, 2 minutes, talented. And Vengeance has it at a 2-minute baseline. We have already seen in the current raid tier that some fights, as you were doing progression, required DKs. They did not require DKs that were geared. They did not require DKs to do damage. They required one thing and one thing only from a DK, and that was the ability to press Gorfin's Grasp when you were told to. That's all. We're talking Zul'Harrak, and we're talking Mannoroth. You were there to press one button, and if you failed at that, you had literally no purpose being in that raid. Essentially, for some people. They brought in ults, they brought in undergeared DKs, they brought in what they could bring because they needed that shit. Vengeance Demon Hunters have a legendary that resets the cooldown on all your sigils when you pop in a Metamorphosis. Now, I don't know if it's been figured out if that counts for the Metamorphosis that you pop into when your artifact trait randomly lets you pop into it when you absorb soul fragments. I'm going to assume it doesn't because that breaks that whole system right there. But if it doesn't, if it does reset the cooldowns with that legendary, that's going to be stupidly broken. But in general, if you pop in a Metamorphosis, you'll reset the cooldown of your sigils. Just flat out, which is fine. If it's the normal Metamorphosis, that's fine. The 3-minute cooldown one, no problem. But then they also have a legendary that reduces the remaining cooldown on a random sigil by 8 seconds every single time you soul cleave. You can soul cleave a lot. Your pain generation can be a lot. And that's the important word here. Can be. It can be a lot. You get that legendary and you can reduce the cooldown on Sigil of Chains by 8 seconds every time you soul cleave. If you take Quickened Sigils, you can reduce the cooldown from 2 minutes to less. The reason this is important is if there's a fight in the Nighthold, in the Emerald Nightmare, that requires and necessitates multiple Gorfin's Grasps, it's not as viable to bring, 3 tanks in between Blood DKs and Vengeance Demon Hunters, or extra tanks for extra grips, things like that. But if you need multiple grips, having a Vengeance Demon Hunter spec into Quickened Sigils, having a Vengeance Demon Hunter that has access to one of those two legendaries and is able to use it appropriately. Sigil of Flame was nerfed. The damage was nerfed recently, so you don't really want to use it in a single target. But even then, I could easily see myself if getting that the Soul Cleave reducing the Sigils cooldown legendary, if I have that, I could easily see myself just not using Sigil of Flames when I need to have Sigil of Chains up. That means you could use Sigil of Chains, have it on a 2-minute cooldown. Let's ignore Quickened Sigils for a second here. Let's take into account just Sigil of Chains and that legendary. Let's do some fucking math because I'm not great at math. But anyways, we're going to divide 120 by 8. So all you would need to reset the cooldown is 15 soul cleaves. Obviously, as you're doing those soul cleaves, as you're building up that pain, time is passing by. So more realistically, you'll probably only have to do about, let's say 10, maybe 10 soul cleaves, maybe a little bit less, depending on how quick you are if you're pain generation, and you'll get Sigil of Chains back decently quickly. I would say that with Quicken Sigils, with that legendary, and just making sure that you're using the right sigil and not wasting the cooldown reduction or other sigils, I would say you could possibly even look at having your Sigil of Chains up every minute and a half or so. It's really, really strong, especially because they're the only one that has access to this stuff. Gorfian's Grasp is thematic and an identity to DKs, not Blood DK, DKs, and it was taken away from the DPS specs. It was given only to the Blood DK. Vengeance Demon Hunters are having a setup given to them where they can exploit that power a lot. And it is a little bit worrying because it could also lead to nerfs. It could lead to an increased cost on or an increased cooldown on Sigil of Change, which no one wants that. No one wants to be in the Blood DK situation. But it does kind of bother me that they're giving so much power to this. Not that it's going to be useful in every fight. Don't misunderstand. You won't want to do this for every single fight. But on that one fight where you need to grip every minute, this could be a viable thing. It's giving them even more utility and power. And as much as I do want Demon Hunters to be good, they already have a lot of good shit. Okay? They need to start giving some of that stuff maybe to some monks. They need to start, feeding everyone, not just feeding one person and making them fat, because then what's going to happen is the very first patch of the next raid tier or whatever, Vengeance is going to be nerfed to the goddamn ground and not going to be useful anymore. I definitely am starting to get a little bit worried about how much good stuff they're giving Vengeance. They need to be giving some more of that utility, some more of that usefulness to some of the other tank specs. As I said already a couple times, monks, there's really, unless you absolutely love the playstyle, you absolutely love being a monk, monks don't even help their raid team in any way, shape, or form other than tanking. Whereas every other tank class has some sort of external benefit that they give their raid team. They have some utility. They have some useful purpose outside of taking damage. And I'm not talking about doing damage. I'm not talking about being, the self-sustained gods or anything. I'm talking about blessings. I'm talking about, vigilance on an 8-second cooldown. I'm talking about at least death grip with blood DKs, just something extra that they can give. And I feel like they're putting a little bit too much of that on the Vengeance and not giving it out to other people. I mean, shit, give something to monks. They need something. But that is the biggest change that went ahead and happened in this Legion beta build when it comes to the tanks. Overall, just a bit of a minor change to a talent for prot paladins, and then a bit of a more important and more noteworthy change to Quicken Sigils for the Vengeance Demon Hunter. But anyways, guys, that's the important things to take from this beta build. I'm going to be doing a video next on the most recent Legion developer Q&A, the Professions one. I'm going to be doing a video on every single one of the Legion Q&As, as long as it has noteworthy information for tanks. I didn't do the last one. There wasn't anything too crazy in the last one when it came to tanks. That's why I didn't worry about it. But I will be doing one about the Profession one. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe. Again, sorry for the lack of content recently. I've been going through a lot of shit. I'm trying to get important videos out, and I don't want to make too many fluff pieces. I have some other videos and some ideas for what I want to make, but I don't want to just throw things out there just because I need to have a video every single day. Especially right now, as I've already gone through the most important things that I feel for each tank. I've already covered the very, very important things. I don't feel like I have as much of a need to just immediately get content out. But if there's something you guys want to watch specifically, let me know in the comments. But anyway, subscribe. You can go ahead and support me here on YouTube through fan funding if you press the little dollar bill sign over on the side of my channel, or if you want to go ahead and support me through Patreon. The links are always in the description. Love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate you greatly, and I hope to see you guys around.